I've gotten fat. May look like I'm pregnant, but that is not the case. I have just gained some weight. I now weigh 200 pounds. And what I can tell you is that now that I am overweight, I cannot get women. I cannot attract girls. It is over for me. Until I hit the gym, until I get back on recording my calories, making sure I'm at a deficit, making sure I got that six-pack, making sure I got a body like someone like Austin Durnham, who does those vlogs. Like, until I got that kind of physique, it's not going to happen for me. It's pretty much over for me. I've been going out, talking to girls, and they just give me this look of disgust. Absolute disgust. They're just like, ew. If you're wondering why I got fat, so you can avoid making the same mistake, here's why. Because I didn't have one of these. Because I did not have a scale, and I let it get ahead of me, and I stopped counting my calories. That part's true. The part that's not true is that I have not been able to get girls. I have absolutely had no problem getting women, even though I'm overweight now. In fact, I used to weigh 215 pounds. I was 28% body fat, technically obese. And I was getting girls that were super attractive, no problem. I was actually shocked at the fact it wasn't any more difficult. I thought it would make a pretty noticeable difference, right? If I'm in good shape versus in bad shape, because I've been muscular. I've been as low as about 11% body fat as well. So I've been pretty much every shape and size. And I thought it would make a pretty big difference. It has not. In fact, if you want receipts or proof, I recently brought home a bikini competitor. A girl with a perfect body, super attractive. I actually have infield hidden camera footage of that approach on my course, God Mode. You can click the link below to see that if you're interested. But I have had no problem getting dates with women who are far more attractive than I am by society's standards, even though I've gotten out of shape. In fact, the bikini competitor that I mentioned, she actually was saying, I prefer a guy who's not as good looking as me. That makes me feel better. I like being more attractive. I like going for an average looking guy because then I don't feel this sense of pressure, this feeling that I have to be like on this high level. I can just relax. Of course, some women highly prefer if you are in really good shape, but not all women do. And a lot of women even prefer the dad bod. And that's what I've got going for me now, and it is working out just fine. The reality is most women have a range of acceptability, right? They have a range in which they don't find your body super hot and they don't find your body repulsive. Now, if you are outside of that range, if your body is repulsive, well, it's going to be hard to get a date with them, right? They're going to just instantly reject you. And if you are on the other side of the threshold where you're an Adonis, you're her exact physical type, that's going to be a huge advantage. However, the vast majority of guys are somewhere in that middle ground, somewhere in that middle range for the majority of women. Very few guys, unless you have like 6% body fat, you're absolutely shredded, you look like one of the Marvel heroes, you look like a Hollywood actor. If you have that kind of physique, there's a certain percentage of women, it might be 10%, it might be 20%. There's a certain percentage of women who are instantly going to just find that really sexy, and that is going to help with them. That is definitely a benefit. So if you're willing to put in the effort to get to that elite level, it will have advantages. It will give you some layups, if you will. There will be some girls who they don't really care if you have a personality. They just think you're so hot. And especially if you're using Tinder, it can help for that as well. So I'm not saying it's not beneficial to be in really good shape. But unless you get to be an outlier, or unless you're an outlier in that you're like morbidly obese, or you're just so scrawny like that you look like you couldn't pick up a twig, right? You couldn't even curl a twig. If you look like that, okay, some women, a certain percentage of women are just going to instantly reject you. Not all women, though. You'd be surprised. Not all women, and even some attractive women, will still give you a shot if you've got the charisma, if you're willing to put yourself out there, you're vulnerable, you're real, you're respectful, but also assertive, you have that combination of those two qualities that I talk about on my channel all the time, you can still get a lot of girls. Now, I do recommend get out of that range. Get the fuck out of that range. It's not good for your health, right? It's really a sign of not being healthy. That's why it's unattractive, because it means you're unhealthy. Like, it looks like you're halfway to the grave. That's not good. But even then, you could do well if you do cold approach enough. However, the vast majority of the time, you're somewhere in that middle range where she's on the fence. She's like, based on his body, I'm not gonna like take my pants off right away. I'm not like, oh my God, I'm so turned on. I'm not like that. But she's also not thinking, this guy disgusts me. This guy is just, gross. And the same applies to anything else about your looks. Any other quality of your looks. Like, if you are 4'9", there is gonna be a good percentage of women that are just going to instantly dismiss you. I think it sucks, but that's true. If you're in like the bottom 0.1%, then there are going to be a decent percentage of women that are going to dismiss you based on being so short. And if I were that short, I would be wearing like platform shoes that increase my height, stuff like that. It's gonna be a disadvantage. And there are gonna be a good percentage of women that are going to instantly reject you. Not all women still, but it's gonna be a lot. Like if you're an outlier and you're that short, that's not gonna help. Or if you're just the worst looking guy imaginable, then yes, a good percentage of women, maybe even the majority of women, are going to instantly dismiss you. Not all. And probably a lot of that has to do with grooming habits, with being overweight, because your face will get more attractive as you lose weight by quite a significant margin, actually. And you could present yourself better and you would probably be in that normal range. It's very, very rare for someone to have such bad genetics that they can't get into that normal range by putting in some effort. Like almost anyone can do that. But if you're someone who's in the middle section of that bell curve, so you're not absolutely obese, you're not absolutely shredded, you're not 6'8", you're not 4'9", you're somewhere in the normal range, the majority of women are not going to automatically reject you based on your appearance, and they're not going to automatically like you based on your appearance. It's going to come down to other factors, like how are they feeling? What mood are they in? Are they single? Are you their type? Because a lot of girls like the skinny rapper look that's gotten popular these days, like the really skinny, lots of tattoos, a look that I don't see the appeal to it at all, but a lot of women like that particular aesthetic, and then a lot of women will prefer something that's more like the clean-cut kind of Don Draper look as well. So it depends. Are you her type? Because every girl is different. And you do want to think about, like, do you have a look, a way of presenting yourself that fits into one of the attractive archetypes? An archetype that a good amount of women do find attractive. It can be a good idea to move in that direction. But a lot of what it comes down to is, do you have big dick energy? And what is that? Like, what does that really mean? It means you come across as someone who knows you are attractive. You come across as someone who is certain in who you are. You are certain that a lot of women find you attractive and you have no doubt in that. And you assume the girl you're talking to is probably going to like you. It doesn't mean that if she rejects you, you can't take it, but it means you expect she's probably going to like me. That's the energy you put out. And that's what takes a girl from being on the fence to thinking, you know what, this guy's kind of hot. And she'll often rationalize, like, he's not very tall, but he's just so funny, or he's so carefree, or I like his smile, or whatever. They'll come up with some excuse because you made them feel a certain way. You gave them an emotion that made you attractive. By default, they were like, maybe, maybe not, don't really care. But then you came at them with the BDE, and that changes. And by the way, BDE has nothing to do with the physical reality. It's the energy, it's the metaphor of seeming like someone who must have a lot going on down there. There's some reason that you just know this girl's gonna want you. There's just some reason that you have that vibe, and she wants to know why that is. That's compelling. And honestly, the same thing goes for women as well. I don't know what you would call that, because I don't think we want to call it BPE or something like that. I bet if you think back throughout your life, you have met girls that you thought, they're okay. She's not super hot, but she's not like completely unattractive. But then the more you talk to her, You just fall under her spell. She just has this effect on you. There's something about her. There's BPE, if you will. And that goes both ways. Most women will see you as neutral. They don't see you as super hot. They don't see you as super gross. And based on the way you talk to them, that will change. And I'm saying this as someone who's been in really bad shape, and I've been in very good shape too. I've never been in the top 1%. I've never been in the bottom 1%, but I've been pretty much everywhere else on that spectrum. And I hardly noticed a difference in the reactions I got from women. The biggest advantage to getting into shape is just building willpower, building discipline, feeling better about yourself, getting a boost in self-esteem, and showing yourself that you can set out to accomplish a goal and actually accomplish it. That is very powerful. But in terms of making you more attractive, barely has an effect until you really get out of the normal range. And that is not likely to happen. I mean, go for it if you want to, but that's not something that most people are going to achieve, and it's not something that you need to achieve. And look, I take different clients out every single weekend. I take different guys out and show them how to approach women. It's called a boot camp. It's a program that I offer. And I've noticed that a lot of times the best looking guys do the worst. The guys who almost look like male models, they often do worse. They tend to have bigger egos, and the guys who are somewhat below average looking often do the best because they are more determined, they're more willing to try new things, and they're just more open-minded. I'm not saying good-looking guys don't get success as well. They often do, but it can be more of a struggle working with them because they have more resistance to change. They have these beliefs that they're supposed to be the category of guy that it's easy for, and so they don't want to get out of that box. It's kind of hard to explain, but that's what I've noticed. I've noticed the better looking guys are harder to coach and tend to actually not get better results than the average guys. The average guys tend to do much better. The guys you would think, no way he's gonna get a girl like that, they do. You can look at the testimonials on my channel for examples of a lot of guys who had crazy successes, but they weren't model good looking, they weren't shredded, they didn't have any of those things going for them, but they were willing to put their ego aside and figure out how to make a girl feel the right emotions so that a date or hooking up or whatever was something that she would be likely to want to do. I hope you found this video useful. I know it's something a lot of guys think about, a lot of guys obsess over, and there's just a lot of misinformation out there. I've seen hundreds of guys go out and approach women with my own two eyes because of my job. I've seen it time and again, and I see the way girls react, and I can tell the correlation between how good looking they are and how positive the responses they get are. It's not a very big correlation. It's a small correlation. But if the guy has good energy, he has the big dick energy, he does well regardless of how good looking he is. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell button. If you want to see the hidden camera footage that I mentioned in this video where I pick up a bikini competitor or whatever you call it, a competitive bikini model, I don't know what the word is, but if you want to see that footage, then click the link below to learn more about that. It's in my course called God Mode. But with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video.